Alright friends, welcome back. In this video I'm going to be working on a really fun little Valentine's Day card. However, if you look at this beautiful stamp set, and everything I'm using will be linked down below, but I wanted to point out that this does not have to be for Valentine's Day. This is a very year-round set. This is actually a little modern heart quilt little set that we have here, and I really love it. I also think that these sentiments are good year-round, right? We don't need one day a year to express our love for the people in our lives. So don't think that if you're watching this in a non-Valentine's Day time of year that you are not able to use this collection. It's gorgeous. But I went ahead and bought this a while ago, and then it went sitting in my craft room, and I really wanted to pull it out and circle back to it. So this is a beautiful set. It has coordinating stencils as well. So the first thing I need to do is actually open these up and see how many stencils we have. And the reason I'm doing that is because then I know how many colors I need to pull. Oh goodness. Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I never would have imagined 6. Okay, this is gonna be quite colorful. Okay, so, I was thinking it was gonna be like 3 or 4. So 6 colors. Let me sit on this for just a moment. Let's go ahead and stamp this out while I am gazing longingly in the distance at my ink colors, and then we'll figure out what color combinations to bring in here. Now, I do not have the coordinating dies for this set. However, I think that this is an easy set for you not to have the coordinating dies, because look at all of the straight lines. Of course, and I think they have coordinating dies. I actually could be absolutely wrong, but I like all the straight lines here. So if we do intend on cutting this out, or you intend on cutting it out, I'm not sure what my game plan is. I'm actually thinking about stamping it right on the panel, something on there, and then not cutting it out, but we'll see. We'll see where we go with all of it. So just in case I don't want to end up trimming this out, which I don't think I will. Famous last words. Famous last words. Let's not make any plans this early in the game, but I'm going to make sure in the meantime that that is centered really well on my panel. Now you could heat emboss this and do a really pretty gold or silver. I'm going to do a black ink, and I actually in the meantime have thought of an idea for some color. So let's go ahead and get this all stamped out and get some really pretty color going on. Okay, I'm gonna use this Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I was rubbing the stamp just to remove any of that kind of oily manufacturer coating that's on the stamp. And the reason I do that is just so that it stamps out really nice the first time. But if you forget, it's not that big a deal. You just might notice that it looks a little marbly. You're not getting as clean of an impression, and you would just stamp it a couple times. So no worries. But if you take the time, you really only have to do it the first time that you use the stamp, because when you're actually using the stamp with your inks, especially if you're doing heat embossing, you're conditioning the stamp as you actually use it. Okay, let's do that once more. Isn't that pretty? Okay, do a little bit of focus press in the middle there. It looked a little bit shallow on my first go round. That looks great. In fact, just that little bit right here. Okay, let's try that once more. There we go. Oh, I love that. So fun. Now, if you didn't want to, is anyone else feeling this is messing with their eyes? Like, it's starting to become a really three-dimensional to me. And I'm seeing like stair steps, and I don't know, I feel like I'm in a labyrinth a little bit. But if you didn't want to use the stencils, or if you don't invest in the stencils, you could have fun doing some coloring with some colored pencils or some Copic alcohol markers, anything like that. Stuff like this, you just let your creativity guide the way. Now, because I did 2 to 3 layers of ink on here, I am going to let this set for about 5 minutes. If not, it kind of seems like the color when using the blender brushes, it can actually disrupt the nice crisp ink edge that we have there, and I don't want to have any smearing. So I'm just gonna let this set for a minute, and then we will continue getting all of the pretty color on here. Okay, here is what I think that I will do. First of all, I'm gonna tape down my, whoops, little panel here. And let's grab the stencils. And then I went ahead and I pulled 3 ink colors that I think will be so pretty. So I have Honeysuckle, Sea Glass, and Nectar. I think these are such pretty colors. And let's start by also grabbing the little brushes. But what I think I'll do, as you remember, there were 6 stencils here. And I'm thinking it would be really neat to do each color twice, but I'll do one at a lighter tone, and then I'll do a little bit more heavy-handed on the second one. So each color will be used twice, but we're just going to stretch the colors by doing one light-handed and one a little bit heavier-handed and get just different tones there. Okay, so I'm going to start by getting this all lined up, and I think I will start right with Honeysuckle. Now that looks good to my eye. Okay, so when I have that good, I'm just going to tape it down. And then you'll want to be careful of all your surrounding edges, so I actually am going to bring in some tape here just to mask that off. Down here, it doesn't matter as much for this stencil because all of my openings are up here. When we do get down to the stencils that have openings on the bottom, then I'll focus on masking this off. And you can skip this if you are a little bit better. I don't want to say better, but if you're a little bit more aware. Sometimes I just get in my crafty zone and I start just blending away, and I don't really think to be careful in certain areas, okay? All right, let's go ahead and start with Honeysuckle. And let me make sure that my brush is nice and clean. To do that, I'm just taking a paper towel and I'm going to rub off as much of the previous color that I had. And I'm not sure, it probably was the color that I'm using right now, this Honeysuckle, but just in case it wasn't, since, well, sometimes you just can't remember the last one you used, but just in case, we'll just make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, I'm gonna tap off some of that color. And for this first one, let's go light. Okay, nice and light. Focusing right on those openings there. Very pretty. And I'm just tapping off that initial little bit. Okay, and I think that's the tone that I want to go for. And I'll rotate in both directions, that way I fill the entire little stencil opening. Okay. And I'll do these last 2. Okay, and I think everything is consistent in color. So, move this to the side. I can move off the little masked areas. Okay, and then let's take this first stencil up. Oh, isn't that pretty? Okay, I love that. Now I'm just going to set these to the side and I'll wash them all in a little bit, but let's preserve the tape and try to reuse that. Now the next one is going to be right here, and I think what I'll do is I'm not going to make it overly complicated. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to go in order. I'm going to do light tone, dark tone, move on to the next, instead of trying to decide and go through my stencils and see where I want to place all the color. I'm just going to go for it. So I'm just going to keep a simple order and just let it play out, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so again, I'm going to mask off those areas and bring in just a tad more for down here. Okay, again, same color, this honeysuckle, but this time I'm going to add more color. Okay, just get more of a bold, saturated look there. And the inks do smooth out and become less blotchy as they dry. Ooh, I think this is going to be super pretty. I love this honeysuckle color. It's way cool. Okay, add a little bit more there. Looks great. And then my last two little openings. I have to say, stenciling or sets that have coordinating stencils, is what I should say, has become a little bit of an obsession for me because I feel like it is so incredibly gratifying to just watch it all come together. Plus, it's fun. I feel like the stress of coloring is completely removed and it's just fun. Okay, so there we go. And remove. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Oh, I really like it. Okay, so now, again, we'll set these to the side, keep it simple. We're done with honeysuckle, and let's bring in sea glass. Okay, my masking is done. We have sea glass. Let's also wipe up, there we go, the ink. And before we get started, I'm grabbing the next coordinating brush and let's get that all cleaned off. And once more, keeping it very simple, we'll start with our lighter color. Okay. And for this first go around, we'll go really, really light. All right. And if you wanted to get really fun, you could do lots of fun variations in here. You could do some shadowing with your blending. I'm just going to do some all over color, but do anything that you wish. Okay, there is that next set. Super fun. Okay, next stencil, sticking with the sea glass, but a little heavier of a hand. Okay, sea glass once more, but let's apply a lot of color. All right, there is the sea glass with a little bit of a heavier hand. Let's see how that turned out. The peel and reveal. Ooh, that's neat. In fact, I'm wondering though, if I need to bring a little bit more into that. I don't see as much contrast as I'd like. So I'm gonna lay that stencil right back down. Let's get that positioned though, just so. Bring in that ink back, and then let me just do more ink on that. Just a tad more contrast. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, I think that's better. Very cool. Okay, now let's finish it off with Nectar. Okay, and for my final color, I'm just gonna get some fresh tape, only because the other two are getting a little bit crummy. Okay, and then I already cleaned off my brush. Let's do the lighter Nectar. Okay. This will be pretty light, not only because I did a lighter hand on the first go round, but because Nectar is nice and light. Oh, I love it. So pretty. I love that. Okay, and then let's deepen it up with our very last stencil. Okay, there we go. And the very last reveal with our completed project. Oh, I really love that color combination. I think that is so pretty. Non-traditional, fun, and I think they look super, super fun together. Okay, let's go ahead and bring back the stamp set. I gotta figure out what I'm going to do next. I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't just use, once again, use this as my panel. I'll trim it down, but then grab one of these sentiments and pop it up on top. I really like the I choose you. I just think that's a beautiful sentiment. So let me grab my A2 dies. Let's decide on a crop really quickly. Okay, I have one of my A2 layer dies, and I'm just going to do a very tiny crop. So let's do something like that, and I will tape down my die into place, and then I will just run this through my Spellbinders Platinum 6. Okay, I have my cutting plates, and let's go ahead and trim that down. All right, let's gently remove the tape and take a look at our final little crop here. Okay, there we go. Now, let's go ahead and bring our Misty back in and stamp that sentiment. Okay, here we are, and once again, I really did like this sentiment, I choose you. I think that is just so sweet. I love that. Okay, and you know what? That does not need to be Valentine's Day-ish. This could be a fun anniversary. This could be just because card. I love that. Okay, let's find the black ink. I'm gonna do it in a nice bold black, be nice and clean. And stamp that down. Okay, and then one more time. Get a nice, good contrast. Now, again, I don't have coordinating dies. If they have some, I will link to them in the description box where I put the rest of the supplies. But what I do have are sentiment dies, excuse me, and I will just use those. Okay, let's see. What can we do? You know what would be kind of cute actually is this little banner. Actually, it would be very, very cute. However, I think I want to keep it super simple. And that might be a little too long. Okay, let's tape that down. And once again, I'll just run that through. You know, I feel like that's going to be too much. So I'm going to trim that down with a paper trimmer. And the reason is because I want to layer this on top of that heart, and I don't want to cover up all that color with just a thick margin around the sentiment. So let's get it a little bit tighter. Yeah, I think that'll be nice. And I'll just use my paper trimmer. Let's see, let's do it this way so I can really see. That'll be good. Yeah, I think so. Very nice. Okay, let's do both ends, and then we will be good to go. Okay, nice and even. I think that looks good. And finally, the fourth side. Okay. Love it. All right, I'm in the season of stepping out of my comfort zone with doing a colored card base. And I have this beautiful color in the honeysuckle, same brand as the ink, but I'll link it down below for you. I love their cardstock. This is sized at 11 by 4 1/4, and I want this to be a top folding card. So I'm gonna place my score line right at 5 1/2. Okay, fold that over, scoot that to the side, and let's press that down. All right, perfect. Let's open up our card base here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of foam tape to the back. I think that'll be really nice. Let's peel off the back of the foam tape and place that right on our card base. Just like that. Okay, now I am simply going to grab some tiny little foam squares, place them probably about 4 on the back of my sentiment strip. And then let's get this placed right on here. Oh, I love that. Again, the reason I didn't want to do this die is because I felt like the border was going to be too thick and therefore cover up even more of the colors. And what I'll do is I'll even offset this up a little bit, right? Yeah. That way I'm not completely covering this block. I want to keep that color right in there. Very pretty. Okay, let's take the little foam backers off. Okay, I think right there looks great. I might move it over just a hair so that I'm not on that line there. Oops, nudged it up, and actually that's even for the better. Okay, there we go. Ooh, I like that little tiny pop of dimension there. And let's add some fun sequins. And I don't want to distract from all the color that's going on, so I'm going to do a simple adhesive dewdrop. These are so fun when you want to just add a little something, but you don't want to distract. And I'm going to do a little trio here. Just like that. They're just subtle, they're just barely there. And then I will do a little duo here. 1 and 2. Okay, love that. It's so simple, but it adds something just a tad bit more. Now, before I forget, I'm going to spin my card around, and I want to add my little personalization to the back. I'll link where I purchased this stamp. It has been my New Year's resolution in terms of card making to be better about stamping the backs of my cards, because I have this cute stamp, but I just tend to forget to use it. But if you do see a video that I don't do this in this year, it may be because I'm filming out of order. So don't come for me in the comments and say I forgot. It might be just that you're seeing one video before the next. Isn't that so sweet? Okay, there is the final card. I really enjoyed bringing this together. I thought this was so fun, and again, when using those coordinating stencils, it is not only so easy to add the color, but it's so satisfying and gratifying to do. So I love how this turned out. I'm glad I added my little stamp to the back. I think that is a good little thing to focus on this year, which is making sure I have my little personalization right on the back. All right, if you enjoyed this, be sure to give this a thumbs up. Again, everything that I used will be linked down below in the description box, just in case you want to add any of these items to your craft room as well. All right, everyone, let me know what you thought of this cute little card, and I'll see you all in the next video.